Just when I thought WWE couldn't have gone lower than they did with this summer's Saturday Night's Main Event that happened about a month and a half ago, we saw probably the worst show of the year for WWE this past weekend with Wrestlepalooza. I'm going to get into those reasons why I feel that way here on Screw the Script. Welcome back, everybody, to Screw the Script. I'm your host, as always, Maverick here. I'm just going to get right into it. I said it at the beginning of this video. I'm going to double down on it. Wrestlepalooza was one of the worst WWE shows I have ever seen. Before I get into those reasons why I feel that way, if you're new to my channel here, or if you have viewed my videos before and you haven't already, just hit that like button, subscribe button down below, and you let me know down below what you think about what I'm about to say next. There's the card right up there. I'm going to reference off my laptop here, looking at it while you're looking at it. We know the matches that happened, but just to go through them one by one, I believe I'll get them in order correct. I can't quite remember the order. Now, before I go any further, I just want to preface by saying I did not actually purchase ESPN to watch this, hence why this video is coming out a couple of days later. I actually waited until a lot of the content was on socials for me to view it, but I've been reading all kinds of things, seeing all kinds of things, seeing everybody's opinions on this show. So I feel like although it's not quite an authentic reaction or review, again, I've stated on my channel I don't have Netflix right now. It's not worth my money to pay for it just to watch Raw, which I think has been, for the most part in 2025, pretty hard to watch. So I certainly was not about to shell out $30 to watch this, and I'm fucking glad that I didn't. So the first match that they kicked off, need I remind you, this match kicked off while the banger of a main event that we had for All Out was happening. This match started in the middle of the Hangman and Kyle Fletcher singles match for the AEW Championship. Just keep that in mind. So I think this match was probably John Cena's worst match in his farewell tour. It was a PLE match, and it did not feel like a PLE match. It felt like any other match that would happen on a Raw or SmackDown. It was not even 10 minutes long. I think it ran like 8.5 minutes, which is awful for a PLE. You know, these premium live events that they call it should feel premium. And that match, from what I saw in the highlights, which is hilarious that the highlight video that WWE put out was only 2.5 minutes, because that's all there was for highlights, because the match was so damn short. Just, what are we doing here? All we saw was exactly what I predicted. It was just a finisher fest. A bunch of FUs and a bunch of F5s and a 1, 2, 3. The crowd was left wanting more. They were confused. I mean, there's literally children crying. And I don't think WWE and TKO truly has the audacity to make their fans that are, under the age of like 15 legitimately cry. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not quite sure what happens in their meetings and stuff, but this match just was not good. From what I've seen, what I've read, the highlights, I scoured the internet to watch the whole match without watching on ESPN, and yeah, it was just not good. I'm not going to completely trash on it because it is John Cena, but I gotta give it a 2 out of 6 cans of whoop ass if I was going to review this fully. It's a 2 out of 6 for that match. Then we had the Usos and Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, I believe, was the next match. I could be wrong. Again, I don't quite remember the order. This was almost as bad as the opening match because it was just so damn forgettable. I'm sorry, but I think the Usos are just past their prime. I really do. Their super kicks are terrible. Fucking Kyle Fletcher can hit a way better super kick, and he doesn't overdo it like the Usos do. They just never get full extension on the kicks. I've complained about it before on this channel, so I'm not going to sound like a broken record here, but yeah, it was a whatever, forgettable tag match, but it wasn't bad, so I'll give it a 3 out of 6 cans of whoop ass. The only highlight from the show was, I believe the next match was Io Sky and Stephanie Becker. That's the only match that I genuinely liked. I watched the highlights and I was like, I need to watch this whole thing. And again, I looked high and low and eventually found the match without having to pay for ESPN, and it was a fucking good match. 5 out of 6 cans of whoop ass. It was the only redeeming match of this entire night because the rest were either lackluster or terrible. And we saw Stephanie Vaquer pick up the win. She is now your new women's world champ. So congratulations to her. I loved her from what I saw when she was in AEW for a very short stint. WWE ended up grabbing her. A great grab for Shawn Michaels when she was in NXT, and now seems to be getting pushed well on the main roster, so I have nothing bad to say about that match. 5 out of 6 cans of whoop ass. The mixed tag match that I don't get all the hype behind. CM Punk is in his 40s, AJ Lee's pushing 40, Rollins and Becky Lynch are also both pushing 40. This match was way too long because it was just so drawn out and slow. Obviously, we knew the outcome. We knew who was going to win this. It was a whatever match, just filled with a lot of hype because of who was involved. But 10 years from now, I'm not going to think about the match. The only thing I'm going to remember this feud about is AJ Lee returning, but not this match itself. So for that reason, it wasn't a bad match, though. I'm also giving this a 3 out of 6 cans of whoop ass. Finally, the main event honestly was as bad as the opening match. This show was bookended with terrible matches. We saw Cody Rhodes retain against Drew McIntyre, probably the most safe finish you could have for a PLE. I mean, here's proof right here. Now that I talked about that, this card, the main event also getting a 2 out of 6 cans of whoop ass. It was a below average for a match that, was a championship match. It was below average for me. It should have been better than it was. It could have been better than it was, but it wasn't. So you could argue that it was at least average, but honestly, I expected more. I wanted McIntyre to win, but even with him losing even if he would have won, it would have been a 2 out of 6. It just was not. It was not it at all. And here's reasons why this show I think was absolutely fucking awful, and they have got to stop counter-programming AEW because they just get dog-walked. I mean, look at this up there. I mean, yes, All Out was better than this. All In was better than everything that was packaged against them that weekend. Look at this up here. Crazy screenshot that I took. That is the amount of dislikes versus likes on a website that you can go onto yourself and copy the URL link to that YouTube video for WWE. That was yesterday, before I recorded this, right? Look at this one now. They are so fucking embarrassed by this match. And you can try this yourself. Maybe the website's down, but I tested it with the EO match, and it was fine because it actually has a lot of upvotes, but this match had so many downvotes and probably continue to get so many that they were embarrassed, and I think they deactivated it on social media, on YouTube and stuff, because you go to that same exact YouTube video today, like that photo I just showed a second ago, and it will not show you information anymore on the dislikes. That is pitiful. I mean, the show was doomed from a start. Look at this example up here. You had people complaining that ESPN was not working for them to get the show even up. Like, you got complaints here. This WWE ESPN thing is an entire mess app-wise. If you have this app, it'll work. It doesn't. If you have this, it'll work. It doesn't. And other people complaining. I mean, there was that. Another reason that I can't fucking stand is I called this before I think it was ever officially announced, and people in comments in previous videos of mine weren't acknowledging it or admitting it to possibly be true, but they had ads. I knew it was going to happen. Despite making you pay more for less, like always, the TKO way, they're making you watch ads when you're paying $30 a month for the subscription. You don't get any of that fucking bullshit with All Out. Go and watch it. There's no fucking ads every 10 minutes. Better wrestling, too. It was 5 hours, 10 matches. The worst match of All Out, which I would say was Eddie Kingston versus Big Bill, was better than most of the matches from Wrestlepalooza. That's just my opinion. You could disagree with it, but I think Wrestlepalooza overall gets a 2 out of 6 because those bookend matches were so damn bad that even that really good women's championship match was the only thing that kept me from giving it a 1 out of 6, where it was just a bad show. It was a below average show. Would have been bad if that women's championship match was not on the card. I mean, you had fan outcry left and right to go back to reasons why this was a fucking mistake by WWE, just a fail left and right. You cannot defend this. I mean, here's another photo up there. People saying, I'm not paying for that. Return to Peacock, please. Millions won't be watching. You lost so many customers, me included. This is such bullshit. And all these negative comments just went on all their socials. You can't, I'm about to bring up cage match ratings in a moment here, but you can't argue with me that, like cage matches is a bunch of AEW people. Even if that was the case, I'm giving you other reasons, other examples of countless people hating on this, and not just on cage match. Like, it was a bad show. If you went to bed that same night and thought to yourself it was good, you must have your head up Triple H's ass just way too far. And here's the cage match ratings. First, All Out, a really good show, got a 9 out of 10. And there's plenty of, reviews that gave it that, not just, 10. And then Wrestlepalooza, 5.7. Every single big show for WWE in 2025 has gotten under a 7, and a few of them have gotten even worse than this, I believe. I personally think this is a little generous. And then you see up there that somebody from ESPN, literally the most unbiased thing you can get. You can bring up saying cage matches all AEW people. You can say people commenting on Instagram and YouTube and stuff are just AEW people, but an ESPN writer himself, who WWE is now partnered with, even gave the show, he said it was an underwhelming C, which is just an average show. I think he was generous there. I think he was being a little nice. It was not a C, at least a D, probably a D minus if I were to give it a grade. Just all in all, an awful show. And now I got, screenshots of other people. Like, I'm just going to keep showing you examples to really prove my point that it's not just a select few of people that I'm using for their negative talks. Like, this was everywhere. Everybody was hating on it. This guy goes on and writes, Wrestlepalooza is probably the worst WWE PLE of 2025. I agree. There will be surprises. You ain't seen nothing yet. It was a fucking quote that Triple H said, and it was such bullshit. The only fucking surprise was seeing his wife get inducted. That's it. She's the first inductee in the Hall of Fame. That is literally fucking it. That was the only surprise. Like I said, the Cena match, I don't fucking understand. Like, he's retiring. AEW All Out did a better Cena tribute and did Cena better by having Adam Copeland hit Cena's signature move and finisher. They did it better than Wrestlepalooza did, because all they did was have Cena get squashed in 8 minutes. And a thing that I think pisses me off even more than people on my own channel that come on here, and it's not very many of you, most of you do agree with me, and most of you that are subscribed to me do agree with this, which is why you're subscribed to me, but I still get some trolls in the comments here, is this guy. We all know who JD from New York is. He is so damn salty that he had the audacity to say, AEW All Out 2025, 13 matches in 5 hours that felt more like an AEW Collision. I don't think he realized that he indirectly just fucking shat all over WWE by saying that. Because basically with that claim, he's saying that an episode of Collision is better than a PLE. Because it was better. He is this super biased, super negative, and we all know why. I've said it in the comments. He got kicked out of a show that he tried to get in backstage with some wrestlers thinking he was part of the gang, and they said no. He was fucking pissed about that. He said some shit that he shouldn't have said to Mercedes. I can't remember if it was directly towards her or about her on a commentary table. He got booted from that job. Like, he hates them to his core for those reasons, and he will never give them their graces, unless it's just outright impossible not to, because I do still see him once in a while talk positively about AEW, but it is very, very few and far between. All Out, I don't know how you can release a video on your channel claiming that it just felt like a long Collision when you had so many damn good matches that completely blew Wrestlepalooza out of the water. I mean, it's seriously, like, here's another example. Again, I'm giving you countless examples. Apparently, ESPN had to turn off comments Fans are not digging PLEs being $29.99 a month on Disney-owned network. And then you have people like Ricochet calling him out that, honestly, like, he's doing such great heel work. He goes on to say, I know our show was way better than a C, which it was. Even if you knock it for the Eddie Kingston match, and maybe, for me personally, the Hurt Syndicate match, this was still at least a B+ show. Solid A- even. Definitely better than a C, and Ricochet is right. If you can't see the stark difference between the quality of wrestling shows between All Out this past weekend and Wrestlepalooza, I think you're just a huge WWE stan. And that's okay. You can be. But you can't also deny it and say that you're not if you're going to go out there and say that Wrestlepalooza was better than All Out, because it simply was not. Then you got guys like JBL, who is trying to defend it as much as possible. He says, and I got a funny joke for this, JBL on negative reviews for WWE Wrestlepalooza, he goes on to say, Dracula is the most sold booked behind the Bible, and reviews when it came out were horrible. I saw some negative stuff out there. I think people love to be negative. Dracula is the most sold booked behind the Bible, and reviews when it first came out were horrible. So I think reviewers have always been negative. You sound smart when you're negative. You don't sound smart when you're positive. Okay. I think it's a terrific start for WWE. I think it's going to be huge. Well, obviously, he's extremely biased because he's on their payroll. Funny that he references Dracula, because WWE and TKO are literally sucking the fucking money out of people's wallets and the life out of their, out of their souls for wrestling, because their product is fucking garbage, JBL. You're another Booker T at this point. You're another Bully Ray at this point. You're on the payroll, obviously, so you will never say anything negative, which, it makes sense. Why would you? But we see right through it. This show was bad, JBL. Take the L. And lastly, you got guys like MVP over in AEW talking about WWE pricing out their fans versus AEW focusing on grassroots fandom with affordable tickets. And I think that's a very smart and wise thing for MVP to point out, which I think is really going to help AEW heading into 2026 just gain more and more fans that cannot afford tickets to PLEs, and certainly not WrestleMania, as we're seeing ticket prices for WrestleMania extremely high, which I'll talk about in a later video. But to get back to MVP's point, he goes on to say, there has been an emphasis on profit with the increasing corporatization of one side without regard for the fans who help make the company what it is. I think that AEW, we are still very concerned about the grassroots fandom. At the end of the day, it's all a business. If no one is buying tickets, if no one is tuning into your shows, if no one's buying your pay-per-views, then there's no place for you to do what you want to do. So you got to remember the business aspect of things. However, I question maximizing profit to the point that you price out those grassroots fans who have been there from day one. Exactly my point. I make a modest income at my day job. On top of this, I don't make anything from this channel. So you can tell that I'm sitting here and giving you my genuine, honest reactions to everything. I'm not being paid by anybody. I'm not on WWE or AEW's payroll. I'm just a guy in a chair that loves pro wrestling and loves talking and engaging with people on my channel. That is it. And WWE is pricing me out. I've got a family. I've got 3 kids and a girlfriend. And if we all had wanted to go to a show, hypothetically speaking anyways, we would have to pay so much more money to go to WWE shows now versus AEW. That's all I had on this episode of Screw the Script. You let me know down below what you think about everything that I said about Wrestlepalooza, all the examples that I gave. It's just getting harder and harder to even support WWE anymore, to watch their stuff. They have got to change. Like I said earlier in the video, they need to stop counter-programming AEW because they're just getting their asses kicked by doing that. As always, this has been Maverick with Screw the Script. Thanks for watching.